Hey guys, well, rep round's in the books. Let's have a brief look into rep round and then we'll jump into round 10. Well, just quickly on rep round though, what are your thoughts on that? To me, I think it's a bit of a waste of time. Happy with the Anzac test, but not sure about it being a week or two after. I think it should be on Anzac weekend. I know you've got that, it takes away though from the Dragons Roosters game and the Melbourne Warriors game, so that's something that needs to be discussed. But if it's an Anzac game, I think it should be played on the Anzac weekend or day or something like that. City Country, well, we'll get to that. We'll just quickly go through the Australia game. Look, I think the Australian defence was fairly solid. It's hard to gauge though because Sean Johnson was really the only player that could throw anything at them. He was doing a lot himself. Look, the Kiwis were okay, but they just didn't threaten the Aussies in my eyes at all. The Aussies were just too strong and too dominant. The Kiwis, they would have needed 4 in there. I think Isaac Luke's out of form, but he has to be there. They're missing Roger. So the Aussies were too good, mainly the Queenslanders, which is, 16-0. It's not very much. So I look forward to the Blues getting some game time. The City Country game now, as I said, to me it's not worth it. It's just a waste of time. I was always a believer in it, but and I wanted it to be on, but really, what's the point? I think it's good for those younger players in that aspect, but if you want to call it an Origin trial, I think those days are dead. I don't think it's got anything to do with Origin. The only thing that came out of that was I don't think many of those guys are good up to Origin grade. I mean, there's 70 points conceded in that game. I think that's just dreadful. I know everyone's talking about Bryce Cartwright. I'm happy to have him in the team, but he'd only be, jersey 17 off the bench for 10 minutes just to create a bit of second phase play. But most of those guys I wouldn't really have in my team. Leading in from that though, one guy I probably would is Nathan Peats. Now I know there's a story going on at the moment with Parramatta trying to offload him. So it seems that if they can retire Anthony Watmour, the NRL's still saying that they won't have shed enough money from the cap. So they need to shed a player worth quite a bit of money. So I think they're going to go with Nathan Peats, which will cover everything. Also, it's a position where a few teams that have money in their cap can take a player, such as that Gold Coast. They've got the money in the cap. They're happy to spend it. If they got Nathan Peats, I'll tell you, they'd be doing cartwheels in the boardroom. They'd be very happy. He's a great, tough player. Bit sad for Parra to let him go. They've got Isaac de Gois, who's getting on a bit, but I think Casey Pritchard's the future there at Parramatta if he can stay fit. This week, round 10 is Indigenous round, so all the Aboriginal players will be standing up for sure this week. Bit of love out there to the Indigenous players. On that topic though, I'm not sure what you guys think, but Greg Inglis playing 5'8", Maguire's come out saying that Kiri might be made way. He'll probably start off the bench. I put GI in at 5'8", which I thought was quite interesting. I always thought when he came on the scene he'd be a 5'8", but it had never transpired. I don't know if it's a good play now. I think we saw early with Dugan shifting from that fullback to playing the centres for the Dragons. When you've got a guy that can return the ball that well, it makes a difference coming out from your own 10 to coming off your own 30. So I think, worth a shot, but I don't think it'll work. I think he's a fantastic player, but he's just such a good fullback, it's hard to... But I see what Maguire's doing. When you're losing, the chips are down, you need to change things up. My game of the round this week, Melbourne and the Cowboys. I still can't buy into the Storm. I know the Origin rounds will hurt them a bit, but I think this game should be still a good game. I think the Cowboys will cover them comfortably though. I'm just not buying into the Storm. So I'll be on the Cowboys. I think I might have them even 13 plus. That's it really for me guys this week. I guarantee I think the Brisbane into Cronulla, both 13 plus this week. Yes, I'm going against the Mighty Knights. I'll tell you what, I watched some of the Knights players in, say, the Fiji game and every other game. There wasn't many, actually. But I watched the other Knights players that were playing. Geez, they played good for their country. I don't know what's going on at Newcastle. I know they're young, but Daniel Saifidi played really well for Fiji, I thought, when he got the chance. So hopefully that comes back to Newcastle and they give a bit to Cronulla. But yeah, so I think Cronulla 13 plus into Brisbane 13 plus. That's it for me this week, guys. Just before I finish, I had a great Mother's Day, but just a quick happy Mother's Day to my mum and to all the other mothers. And on the last note of sport, Leicester City finally got to hoist up that trophy. Everyone was waiting for them to stumble at the last hurdle. They came true, they won. Honestly, one of the great fairy tales in modern sport. Actually, not even modern sport, just in sport in general. Absolute fantastic result. Well done to Leicester City.